Thank you. Hi, everyone. As was mentioned, my name is Diana Konaté with African Communities Together, and I am going to give an update on where we are with legalization in Congress. So as you all know, when the Biden administration came into office, it was an opportunity for us to work on getting permanent status for our communities. Most of you on this call being TPS holders, but also people who might not have TPS. It was our opportunity because we had a Democrat in the White House, and Democrats had control of both the House and the Senate. After several months, we pushed, and were able to get immigration into the reconciliation bill. Reconciliation, as you'll remember, is the process by which we don't need, Democrats would not need any Republican support to get their legislative agenda done. So immigration was put into reconciliation. We tried to get several versions of legalization done through reconciliation. The first was Plan A, which was legalization for DACA, or Dreamers, TPS holders, and essential workers. Unfortunately, the parliamentarian in the Senate said she gave the advice that that could not go into the reconciliation package. So Plan B that the senators submitted to the parliamentarian was registry. Registry would have allowed undocumented people in the US, all undocumented people who have been in the US since 2010, it would have allowed them to be legalized. Unfortunately, the parliamentarian said that too could not go into reconciliation. At this point, we changed our strategy because the parliamentarian kept saying no to what we wanted. And we started to urge members of Congress, particularly the Senate, to disregard the parliamentarian. So to ignore her advice and move forward with giving our communities green cards in reconciliation. Towards the end of the year last year, the reconciliation passed the House. Unfortunately, when it passed the House, it passed without the green card language that we wanted. It passed with something called parole, which would have protected undocumented populations for 10 years, up to 10 years, and would have given that population work authorization. For us, that was not enough. We thought that, you know, our communities have been fighting for green cards, and that's what we wanted. And with the Democrats having power in the White House, the House, and the Senate, we thought that this was our only opportunity to get this done. And the Democrats had promised this. So that's essentially what we want. So even though parole, that temporary protection went past the House and went to the Senate, we were opposed to it. Eventually, the parliamentarian in the Senate said parole also cannot go into the reconciliation package. So she advised against even the temporary protection for immigrants in the reconciliation package. Around that time too, at the end of last year, Senator Manchin from West Virginia, he came out and he said that he was opposed to the reconciliation package in the form that it was in. So he couldn't get to yes on that. He would not vote yes for that reconciliation package. That was important because he's a Democrat and there are 50 Democrats, there are 50 Republicans in the Senate. And so the Democrats need every Democrat to vote yes on reconciliation in order for it to pass. So when he said that he did not support reconciliation, that basically, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It kind of killed reconciliation at that point, at least in the form that it was in. So where do things stand now? When senators came back from the winter holiday, the environment shifted. So other things started taking priority in Congress, and the reconciliation bill has kind of been put on the back burner. For us, though, it's still a priority, and so we're still fighting for it to come back up. What will need to happen in the next couple of weeks, though, because Manchin has said he does not support reconciliation in the form that it's currently in, they will need to go back to the negotiating table and negotiate a new package. And that new package is likely going to be a lot smaller than what it was last year. And they're going to cut out a lot of the stuff that was in last year's reconciliation package. So the past couple of weeks, the next few weeks, our message to Congress is that in whatever next reconciliation package is being negotiated, immigration needs to be a part of it. So that's one. Immigration needs to be a part of any reconciliation package that is negotiated. Two, immigration is just not any immigration. Green cards needs to be included in that package. So in the coming weeks, over the past 2 weeks, we had several calls with members of Congress, particularly senators, about this. Last week, I know African Communities Together and Adhikaar were in a call together with Senator Warner's office, trying to urge him to support our call for immigration in reconciliation and green cards specifically in reconciliation. As the weeks move forward, we will continue to make that call. On February 28th, there will be a rally in DC where we're going to get some of our members, particularly those that are in the DC area, to come out and call for Congress to include immigration in reconciliation, immigration and green cards in reconciliation, and to call on President Biden to also prioritize immigration in the reconciliation bill, because the White House will also be negotiating this. And the next day after the rally, President Biden will be speaking to Congress. He'll be giving a State of the Union from Congress. So that's our opportunity to really make our demands heard, and get this across to the finish line. So that's basically where things stand now. I will go into what happens next, other options that we have, and then open it up for questions. So what happened, a question that some folks have is, what happens if we can't get immigration into reconciliation? If we can't get green cards in reconciliation and it does not work, it doesn't happen, then the next strategy will be to push the White House and President Joe Biden to to provide protection to as many people as possible using his executive authority. The president has done this in the past, not Biden, but a president has done this in the past in the form of DACA, when President Obama protected undocumented children who had been brought into the country by their parents. And so that is an avenue that this administration could take. But there are pros and cons. One of the cons is that, like DACA, it could, if Biden were to do something similar to DACA, it could end up in court, just like how DACA is in court now. Another option, and what we have been working on, is to designate more countries for TPS. We would like to see our current countries designated for TPS, particularly those in the Ramos litigation, but I'll talk about that in a second. But we would like to see more people protected through TPS. And the advantage of protection through TPS is that TPS is a law that was passed by Congress, so it's very hard to sue to take people's protection away in the way that that's possible with DACA. So ideally, the administration would use TPS to protect millions of people here in the US. So that's what can be done administratively. And then because a lot of the people here are from the Ramos countries, I'll also touch on that briefly, but there is also ongoing litigation to continue protecting the countries that Trump terminated TPS for. So where we are currently with that litigation is that the case itself is on hold during mediation. Mediation is currently ongoing, and we're at a few weeks ago, the plaintiffs provided a number to the government saying, this is how long we want our communities to be protected for. The government came back and said, no, this number doesn't work for us. This is the number that works for us. And so they're still going back and forth to figure out how long to come up with an agreement as to how long the people who are currently protected through the lawsuit will ultimately be protected for. So that, that's still ongoing. We will provide you all with updates as we get updates from the attorneys in Ramos. But that's where things stand with Congress, with the administration, and with our litigation.